Hit that pause button, Game Devs. T-Chan here, and thank you for joining me on episode 48 of Game Dev Loadout, where I chat with the best people in the game industry 7 days a week. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast for new daily episode filled with inspiring stories. And now let's chat with today's featured guest, Alon Kaplan. Alon, it is go time. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome. He is a music producer for JoyTunes and manages a sound production business which mainly focuses on video games, film, and theater production. In addition, he is also a lecturer on sound design for a few of the game design programs in Israel. He's been working on more than 50 shipped games and has been invited to speak at conferences around the globe. So go ahead, Alon, give us a bit about your personal life and how you got started in the game industry.
Sure. So, hi everyone. I'm from Israel, and I used to live in California a long time ago when I was 3 years, but since coming back, I'm a citizen of Israel, and I love to go abroad to conferences and speak all over. So mainly I studied film scoring at the Rimon College of Music in Israel. It's in a partnership with Berkeley, so I had the opportunity to continue in Berkeley, but I didn't go there. I just finished the diploma of film scoring, and right after that I was starting to looking for gigs, and just right after finishing school I found out that there's actually a small game industry in Israel, and I immediately started to go to gigs, meetups, and conferences in Israel. They were very small back then, that was about 8 years ago, but I started to get to know all of the people in the small industry, and you can say I grew up with the industry. So now it's very big also in Israel, and we still everybody knows each other, and we keep growing together. Yeah.
So let's break it down. What is your main area of expertise?
Wow, that's a hard question. I would say I'm basically, first thing is I'm a composer. That's before everything else. I really started to compose songs since I was a little child, and got to do that for film scoring and commercial and video games. So first of all, I'm a composer, but more than that, I also like to expand my skills for a very a large amount of skills. I'm also a choir conductor. I have a choir that I own and manage for the last 6 years. And I also am leading a team of game developers, 10 people that were together working for the last 2 years in our own game. Yeah, I'm also, for this moment, I'm working on 2 feature films as a composer, and also I'm going to do the entire music production, so all over everything that's related to music and sound.
Yeah, you're doing a lot. Yeah, congrats on that too. That's awesome. Now, let's touch upon being a composer. What is something we probably don't know about being a composer, especially in the video game industry, that we should know about?
You can say as an international composer, because I work also with studios all over. First thing is you need to know to be all the time on your schedule, to really know what's the time that you can put on this, and to really keep the schedule all the time tight. And yeah, and because there's a lot of different hour differences and stuff like that, you all the time need to know when you can be when you need to be available for people all over. And I had these clients from the States that used to say that they love the fact that I'm awake at nights because I can always be available from them. But yeah, you always need to know how to do the balance between be available for clients and also keep time for yourself, of course, and not do the 24/7 workaholic thing, because that's have a deadline,
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's one thing I would say. The other thing is, of course, communicate, because a lot of people that approach you as a composer, they know that they want music for the game, but they want to know exactly how to describe what they want, or the more experience they have, of course, they will have more experience on how to communicate with the musicians. But in your side, that I think is the most important thing, is to all the time talk, and don't just guess what the client want from you. Just all the time you need to talk and communicate, and everything that you're not sure about, immediately call them and be sure that you're on the same page. Yeah.
Now, When making games for, or in composing for video games, what do you think are common mistakes that people make, even at a pro level?
Not spending enough time on research, I would say. Like, people a lot of time just go, composers just go with their feeling in their heart and just like make the music that they will find fit for a specific project.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot more than that. For example, if you're doing a project, every little game that you're working on or a big project is totally different. It's totally different music, and a lot of the composers need to know like how to deal with many different kinds of music. There's a few composers that are, they're like a pro in one kind of music, for example, electronic or orchestral, but we composers for media, we need to know like everything. Most of us, we need to know like how to deal with any kind of music, and people will approach us and will expect us to be perfect at whatever they want. So I would say like a lot of people don't do that research and really get into the real understanding of the kind of music they want to make. For example, if you get a gig and they want you to do some kind of, just inventing now an idea, just say like Irish music. So people would go like, okay, yeah, I know Irish music, I can compose music for that, but eventually that won't sound authentic. So you need to, you will if you want to do that, like to be authentic and to do a good job, you will do a lot of research before starting to work. Like, I actually had a gig of, it wasn't a video game, it was an Irish dance show. Something, for example, like Lord of the Dance, so it was another gig like that. And I took like about 2-3 months only for researching, and I listened to a lot of that music and learned all of the different kind of dances. And, that's something that you need to do, like to really know what's the music you're going to do.
I love that, because, you don't want to play like a happy-go music when there's like a serious moment or a sad moment. It just doesn't make sense. And like you say, if you're doing music for like another country, or like you say for Irish, of course the music is going to be really, really different compared to like American music or something. So definitely do that research.
Yeah, there's always like, there's always the cliches. Like if you think Irish music, you always say like, okay, there will be harps and violins and maybe accordion, but there's a lot more than that. So if you're like do the whole research, you will find like the little things that make it that kind of music,
Ooh, yeah, the detail. Now let's take this on a more personal level. And you've been in the music industry for many years, and you're doing a lot of different things as well. What was like the worst moment of your career? That one moment that's still vivid in your mind? Be very detailed and tell us that personal story.
Yeah, so I was actually lucky to never have like this huge break of not having new gigs. Yeah, I was
That's good.
Like, the moment I finished school until now, it's all the time like a flowing kind of thing. But it's not only video games; it's all over. So if I was only doing video games, it will be I will have those breaks. But one thing I can tell, like that there was this point I was starting to go to a lot of international conferences. I went to GDC 4 times and Q Vadis in Germany and Gamescom, of course, and many different conferences all over. And I weren't getting international gigs. I was keep getting my like on country gigs, but couldn't expand to other places. That was very hard for me, and I was thinking like maybe to stop going to conferences. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, and maybe that's not the way. And that was really like a low point, I would say, because I really wanted to expand myself to get to the AAA gigs that you don't have that in Israel, and to get all kind of interesting international ones. That was very hard because you keep getting all those meetings at conferences, and you think like everything is going great, but finally you don't get the gigs. So there was this point, and I can say like right after that, like it took some time, but eventually it started to come back. Like what was like the thing I learned from this is you don't need to expect to get a gig right after a conference. Like if you get a connection that you become a friend with some a studio on a conference and you meet up, that might get back to you after 4 years or after 2 years. You will never know when they will actually need you. You just need to keep that contact. So that was the thing I learned from that. That's like, it's a long-term investment.
Yeah, networking is so important. And what's even cool about that is like you went out there to different conferences. You never knew that you were going to get something back in return, but you went out there, you learned about what's going on at GDC and GameCon. So you did a lot of networking. What do you want to tell people that had like a similar situation like that? Someone that's in a different country that can't get all these big gigs at AAA companies that's like in America or something. What do you want to make sure game devs take away from that experience?
Yeah, so as I said, don't like expect things to happen fast. Just the most important thing is, and really I also don't do that enough, but the most important thing is just to keep the connections, to keep them alive. You don't need to all the time add all of the people that you met on Facebook and keep chatting with them, because that's not what people will be interested of. But just like keep them update, like every few months, just send them like to let them know what's going on with you, that you're still there and you're still ready for gigs, and whenever you have time, just do that. And eventually people will need you and remember you for that. And that's one thing. And the other thing I've learned, and that's a hard one, is you need to stand out. Like whenever you go somewhere, try to stand out. If it's by being a speaker, that's of course something that you stand out. But whenever you can do, like for example at GDC, I used to form a choir of volunteers at GDC, and we used to perform at GDC singing songs from video games, and people remember me for that. So you all the time can have like those crazy ideas of what you're going to do that people will actually remember you.
Yeah, I just saw a video of you introducing a choir and they were singing. I was like, oh, whoa, this is awesome. I never seen something like that. It was really cool. Yeah, so stand out and make meaningful relationships, definitely. Now, you are more experienced, you're better now. What do you think was the best investment you've made? And it can be investment of money, time, or energy. And how did you decide to make that investment?
Yeah, that's actually related to the same thing we talked about now. I think the best investment, I would say, of course, you can always say going to conference, because that can always pay off. But I think it's more than that. It's what you're doing when you're going to a conference. So my best investment, I would say, was volunteering at conferences.
Ooh.
Because when you volunteer at conference, it's not only like you're getting, of course, a free ticket and stuff like that, but you're actually meeting great community of other volunteers, and they are from all over the industry, and they suddenly become your friends and your little community. And this community gets larger every year. And the best example, of course, is the GDC volunteers, because they are very huge. They have like 400 volunteers every year. And I was there 1 year as a volunteer, and since then I'm part of this big family, and there are people from all over the industry working on any company you can imagine, and they're all suddenly your friends, or like people that you can talk to about anything. That was the best investment, to put that money to fly there and to be part of this community. Don't just go to a conference, just go to a conference as part of a community.
I love what you just pointed out. When you go to this conference, you have to make the effort to go and meet people. Some people are really shy and they keep them themselves, so they just go to the conference and watch meetings. But you can't just watch meetings. You have to network with people. You have to talk with people. Like, that's the whole point of the conference, is to talk with people. So when you go to like these conferences, make the effort to network, build up meaningful relationships, and stay connected. That's so important.
Coming with immediately, if you come with part of a group, that immediately gives you a lot of power. Like in a conference, you're never alone. You always have more people that are your friends, that you came together, or like you're a part of this group that you joined there. That immediately gives you more power as a networking.
Oh yeah, stick with the team. Now, with the game industry booming now, what are you most excited about today?
Oh, wow. Well, I've come to work on a few VR projects lately, and this is super exciting. Like, I really enjoyed that. I really love VR and the Vive and everything that's going to do. And I was part of a few projects as a sound designer and as a composer. And that's really interesting, because it gives you a whole new world of ways to make the sound work in a VR environment. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm also excited that it's becoming more and more international, as part of a country from Israel, that like the industry here is still young if you compare to other big places. And I really love how everything becomes international. A lot of international speakers come to speak in our conferences now, and a lot of delegations come from all over. So I'm really excited about how everything is more global now.
Yeah, I love how games are global. It's played all over the world. And I'm really curious, is designing sound for VR like a really big difference from, designing for like a regular game?
Yeah, I didn't know. Like, I couldn't guess that. When I started work on the last project, I wish I could tell you about it more, but it's still a secret. But when I worked it, I said, yeah, of course, I can do that. I know everything. I've been a sound designer for years, and I know how to do the job. And the moment it became like a VR, I had a lot of surprises on the way. And one thing I learned from that is the most important part of this. It's not the most important, but one of the most important parts is to do the implementation and not just like let that to do for the developers. You need to be part of the implementation process, like to put the sounds inside the game engine or whatever, and to do all of the check, like the QA for that, to see that all of the sounds actually sounds how you imagine them to be. And in VR, it's even more difficult because you need to have the device yourself to be able to check that all of the sounds actually work in this environment as you wanted to, as like that was your plan to do.
Ooh, a new endeavor, and I can't wait to see what project you're working on. That sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Don't forget Game Dust. You can check out my website for all the show notes. And now, Alon, we have reached a crunch time. Basically, we reached the end of the phase, and crunch times is the phase that game devs usually really dread. But we are here to overcome it. Basically, I would ask you quick questions, and you'll be giving us a ton of valuable information in return. Are you ready to crush it and release the show?
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's do it. What was holding you back from joining the game industry?
I just didn't know it exists here. So the moment I found out about it, I immediately started to attend meetups.
There you go. Just attend. That's all you have to do. What's a personal habit that contributes to your success?
Yeah, I'm very communicative. I would say, like, all the time, make sure that my clients know what's going on with me and when stuff will be ready and stuff like that,
Communication is key. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
To practice all the time, even composing is something that you get better at better. And there was I had this guy that was part of I would say he was my guru. I all the time read all of his blogs and like take everything from him. And one of his great advices were to try to compose every day at least 1 to 3 minutes. Just like never, like even if you don't have anything you need to write music for, just do that all the time and you will get better.
How has a failure set you up for later success?
I would say it's always like, if you make a part of music, a piece of music that your client doesn't like or something like that, it's, for me, like, that's something special in video games, I would say, which is different from film, because in film scoring, you're doing exactly like syncing the music to the film, but in video games you're doing like this more abstract kind of music. So I would say every time that you fail to make something that your client liked, like you can always save that for later use, So every time that I fail, I will maybe take a day to recap myself and to gain the strength to do a different thing, to forget what I did, but I can always keep that part of music and use that later on. So it's always like you need just time to recap yourself and continue to do something else.
And if people want to become music composers, specifically for the video game industry, what resources would you recommend they use?
First of all, there's a lot of free stuff that you can find online that are very easy to start from. Like, for example, there's a lot I just did a little research this week. And I also research all the time for these free resources for my students, because I also teach game design students about music. So there's a lot of free stuff. For example, the implementation software like F-Mode and Double Rise. These are amazing software that are free online that you can download and use for your game and learn a lot about music implementation from that. That's amazing. And also, Audacity, which is a free software. That's free for everyone, and that's an amazing sound design software for beginners just to learn how to do stuff. And I will recommend using those. And also, if you have a small budget, but you also you want to start to gain more sound effects and start to get a larger library for sound design and music, you can always find a lot of very cheap websites to get all of those sounds. For example, Audio Jungle, which is I wouldn't say they're super expensive for that kind of stuff. I use that a lot.
I will definitely link those up. This next question is a bit of a doozy, so take your time if you need to. Imagine you woke up the next morning in a brand new world and you knew no one. You still have all the experience and knowledge you currently have today. Your food and shelter is taken care of and you have a laptop. What would you do step by step on the path to become a great music composer?
Yeah, first of all, I will just offer myself to everyone that I meet. I will just talk with a lot of people and let them know about me and let them know that I'm available for work. Yeah, you don't need to have the best studio ready. You just need to have the basic tools to start to make music and sound. So the thing that you actually need is to find the people to work with. So I will go to any event around. I will go to game jams as I do every year and continue all the time to meet more people. That the work will come eventually.
Definitely. I'm definitely going to hit at that GDC next year when it comes. I would definitely go. Now, we have reached the end. Go ahead and give us a parting piece of guidance and how we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
Sure. So you can find me on my Facebook, of course, Alon Kaplan, and my email is kaplanalon, KAPLANALON @gmail.com. That's how you can find about me. My website, alonkaplan.com, have all of my latest news and stuff to hear.
And what's a parting piece of guidance you want to leave us?
Just, as I said, practice a lot, do researches, communicate all the time that you can, and don't wait for the muse to come. A lot of people wait for the muse to come before they can start work. Don't wait for the muse, create the muse.
Ooh, yes. I love that. Create the muse. Alon, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And for that, we are truly grateful. And we will catch you next time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Game Devs, for listening, and remember that knowledge is only potential power. Execution is the game. I am so excited to announce our first sponsored giveaway with Game Dev Underground, where a winner can get a free 1-hour consultation with the founder, Tim Rusbeck. So if you have any questions on building and launching your game, get on this giveaway ASAP. This is a $1,000 value, and it can be yours. All you have to do is go to the show notes page at GameDevLoadout.com and sign up for my email list. That's it. So until then, keep on making great games, and I will catch you on the next episode. Bye.